Cooper, your host on Change Your Voice, Change Your Life. In studio with me, the honored, prestigious Dr. John Curtis, the spin doctor, who, folks, is all too often spun himself, as I am. We're all spun by things around us because we're heir to information that we believe is accurate, coming from the tube, from radio, from television, from friends, associates, and enemies, and so forth. And we are spun by misinformation. We misrepresent what is, or they do, and then we live with myths and misconceptions ourselves. You got to be kidding about what's going on. Part 1 of Change Your Voice, Change Your Life. Dr. Curtis, what do you want to be kidding about today?
Well, the biggest, I think, kidding for people, I think, has to do with them just buying what other people tell them. Mm-hmm. If somebody has a white coat on and you walk into their office and they have dials and they've got high tech, people tend to believe them. If you operate with a shopping cart mentality, you have no credibility at all. So you're asking people to believe in options. I mean, you look at the treatment of these voices, these troubled voices, and you ask yourself, how can people with any kind of logic take a dangerous toxin, botulinum toxin, something that was packed into the warheads of Scud missiles, and do that to themselves?
You're talking about Botox. It's put out by Allergan. It's a very fine company. They believe that the strangle voice, spasmodic dysphonia. Henry Fonda had it. I worked with him, helped him to get his voice back. He went on to do On Golden Pond, got an award for that. Shadow Stevens had the condition. He got his voice back. What I do, he called it hilariously simple, and it works. The people in the medical community are of the view that there are no cures of the strangle voice and or bowed vocal cords per se by direct voice rehabilitation. I reported on that in a textbook years ago on cures of it. But the problem is that they live by a paradigm. They live by a theory, folks, and you're not going to change theories. Unfortunately, a lot of people have body armor. Wilhelm Reich, a psychiatrist, wrote about body armor. It cannot be pierced. That's what you're saying.
Well, the paradigm is not just one of a medical paradigm. We're talking about a paradigm of just human thinking. And a well-known individual used to call it stinkin' thinking. And stinkin' thinking, he used to say, is you can't think for yourself. If somebody tells you, well, God told you to do something, your physician told you to do it, your mother told you to do it, take this bromide, this formula, this pill, this drug, do what somebody says rather than to rely on common sense, which is not very common.
Sense?
It's not very common for people any longer.
No, common sense is a tough number, isn't it, folks? How can you have common sense when you're fed information that, in a sense, sets you up to think in a certain direction? David Reisman of Harvard called it inner-directed, outer-directed, and other-directed, which means very few people are inner-directed. They really rely on themselves. Hopefully they have facts and information to make decent judgments. Other-directed, people listen to other people, what they say, what they think, and they don't have inner direction. There are three: inner, other, and outer-directed. And outer is the whole society. David Shaw's talking about the Hollywood scene, with lying as a pervasive thing in the movie industry.
Well, it comes down to really what is factual, what is real to people. And, reality is an internal phenomenon. There really is no such thing as an external world out there, because you've got human organisms processing information in a way with their own distortions. And, as you said, as Wilhelm Reich, said, with body armor, with a lot of defenses. I like to help people to see options so they can see what's good for them, what isn't good for them, whether it's somebody blowing smoke up their rear ends, in financial markets, whether it's in the healthcare industry, whether it's in politics. I mean, right now President Clinton has got his foot caught in the doo-doo again, and it had to do with his pardon of Mark Rich. And everybody knows that billionaires, millionaires, I mean, they carry around a bag of money, and most people like to dig into the money. Clinton has made a statement right now. He's made a categorical statement. He waved his finger again, which should alert people. Be very careful when Clinton raises his finger, like
he did that with Monica Lewinsky.
He did not have sexual relations with that woman. Of course, she had sexual relations with him, but he didn't have sexual relations with her.
Clinton is a lawyer. People forget that.
Well, I mean, and he's a damn good one, too. He's one of the better lawyers, actually.
He can't practice for 3 years now.
Well, I mean, he's handcuffed right now, but he's handcuffed because of his own doing. But look, he made a public statement that said that there isn't one shred of evidence that that he basically took a bribe on this deal with Mark Rich. There's not one shred of evidence. Now, he's not saying that he didn't take a bribe. What he's saying is that there's no evidence. Now, most people, when they regard, evidence and a fact are very related to each other. Do you realize that? Facts and evidence. You ever hear the expression, do not assume facts that are not in evidence? Okay? What does it mean, a shred of evidence? It means there's a tape recording, a testimony, sworn testimony of somebody else, maybe DNA evidence on somebody. This is all evidence. Clearly, this is a very early stage of this investigation. But when you've got a guy that's a renegade, a billionaire, he's a carpetbagger to the max. He's engaged in oil deals with Iran at a time that we were at war with them. And I'm not being critical of the man and engaging in his business. I'm not even being critical of him for evading a minimum of $48 million in taxes, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. The guy's been very successful. Don't knock success. The bottom line for people is, what does it mean when somebody says something? How can you trust what it is that they're saying? How do you know that you're not being buffaloed? And the truth is that much of what you hear today, whether it's somebody selling you a car, kicking the tires in a car, with a politician telling you that they're sorry for writing letters to get drug dealers off, you have to look very suspiciously at the content of what's being said.
If we can pick this up, our director here, the eminent Mr. Katz, we want this to zero in on it, if we can. We get that on the screen. Can that come in? And can you see it? Is it clear? If you bring it in real close, you can see the print on that. And it's interesting. We want somebody who's excited about our products, as the Acme Shoe Company. Dr. Curtis is very taken with politics and corruption, and he strikes me as a skeptic and a cynic in a world where we need optimism. And I just believe that we should look forward to a wider scene. If you can pick this cartoon up. These cartoons are from the Wall Street Journal. We want this on the screen. Can we get that on the screen? And it is saying something which is very interesting. I'll read it to you. We'll put it back on the screen in a minute. Good news, Mr. Ferguson. The man is in bed. Your insurance does cover needless surgery. Let's take a look and see if you can see that one. Can you pick that up? We have that. Is the camera picking that up very clearly so the audience can see that?
How do you define a needless surgery? If your physician tells you need it, doesn't that by definition mean that you need it?
Yes.
If your doctor told you, and he's already told you, that you need bypass surgery, why are you resisting bypass if your physician's told you?
Because a large number of people who have it die, and a large percentage have severe repercussions where they're not mentally agile or themselves again after the procedure. So
you know that it does cause brain damage. You know that there's research now that indicates that.
I was wondering why you didn't react to the skeptic charge and to the cynic charge when I said that of you. You let that pass.
I'm eternally an optimistic person. I mean, I'm very positive about these things. I trust everybody.
So you reject that
no, I mean
description.
Well, I mean, I believe that opening your eyes is a painful process for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people.
And you're willing to accept.
I think
what is and open your eyes.
When it comes to products and American business selling you products, whether it's hamburgers or whether it's a drug like Viagra, and telling women that they have human female sexual dysfunction can be corrected with the male potency drug Viagra. I think that people have to sit back, realize that the pharmaceutical company likes to get a drug originally approved for a certain condition, and then they like to extend it to a variety of other conditions.
Of course.
Have you seen the way that works?
Of course, they would do that with Prilosec for
Prilosec is a
heartburn
great
and
example.
indigestion, and it works very well. Then they have extended it to bad and raspy voices, which it really doesn't fit the requirement. Bad and raspy voices come from misuse, talking in the lower throat. I did a study on that, and I have over 1,000 cases in the textbook to indicate it's misuse. It's not from reflux acid coming from the stomach up to the vocal cords.
But
there's no money in it for the pharmaceutical company.
They conduct scientific research, don't they? And they have a study, as a matter of fact, that indicates that Prilosec does work well. Actually, I think they've indicated that it has 99% effectiveness.
No, I'm not sure. No, that's Botox. That's
Botox.
Poison. The state. Let me just explain. The medical field and Allergan, and they're a fine company, and the medical profession is a fine outfit, are of the view that botulinum toxin, it's a nicknamed Botox, a deadly poison, is a state-of-the-art treatment of strangled voices that Henry Fonda had or Shadow Stevens had, and people should know that it's 99% effective. I find it just quite ineffective, but that's my experience and so forth. And I report cures of it. They don't have a cure. But the other aspect is that Merck, the maker of Prilosec, is doing very well, fantastically well, and they've extended the use of Prilosec to bad and raspy voices, which I don't find to be caused by reflux. It's caused by misuse and
you see
abuse.
nothing wrong with that. When a pharmaceutical company originally gets a drug approved, with their scientific research published in all the fancy journals for a specific treatment, you don't find it odd that they're extending the drug to other conditions which may have a spurious treatment too.
Sir, Dr. Curtis, they have families, they have mortgages on their homes. This is an entrepreneurial society. Can you say that word, entrepreneurial?
Oh, I can say it just fine.
And that's what our society is about. If our director can hone in on this one and take a look and see what it says, come closer on this one, Mr. Katz, if you will. Can you come closer on this one and take a look at what it's saying on the screen? Thank you. It says a great deal. Can you read what it says, Dr. Curtis? Or do you want me to read it for the audience?
You should read it from there.
Okay, I'll read it to the audience. Two guys leaving the Capitol building, the Senate building. Does it hurt to vote your conscience? Does it hurt to vote your conscience? We're not in a society today that looks to conscience. We're concerned with the bottom line. There was a story about a fellow, a medical doctor, who said that antibiotics were bad for kids. They froze him out, though he has tenure, was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, isolated him. Now they're finding out what he said is right, but that's the way life goes.
Well, society expects obedience.
Yes?
If you're disobedient, you know that you've learned this as a child. You get slapped very quickly. As a matter of fact, disobedience, I mean, you can lose your entire career. Look what's happened to Mr. Cruz Bustamante, the lieutenant governor. He was delivering a speech to some African Americans, and he claims it was inadvertently used the N-word, which is a very pejorative, negative term against African Americans. And created massive controversy, for them. And
we're filled with these
but you think that it's
negative terms. They're on the basketball court. When I played basketball, I heard blacks call blacks the N-word. People on the inside relate to these terms, not in a negative way per se. They resent it if you're not in the group that they're in.
Do you think it's possible to have a politician who is a public speaker inadvertently use a word? Does that sound plausible to you? In other words,
I think he